Who is the creator of the simulation?
Some people say it's aliens. There was a professor at Oxford who wrote a paper about this back in 2003 named Nick Bostrom, and he thinks it's future versions of ourselves. So he thinks we're in what we'd call an ancestor simulation. Like if we created a game of ancient Rome, they would be like our ancestors in a way. There are others who say it's God or pure consciousness outside of the matrix. So all the religions, not just any specific religion, but pretty much all of them have been telling us that the physical world is not the real world, that there's another world out there beyond this. And so that's yet another theory of what's outside.
Do you believe this is probable, possible?
I believe it's probable, like more than a 50% chance that we are inside some type of...
One of the most fascinating things to me about simulation theory is the evidence of code within our universe. At the very core of all computers and processors, they store all information in a simple 1 or 0 system. This is called binary. Think of it like an on-off switch. 1 is on, 0 is off. Now you might think to yourself, well, programmers don't write in 1s and 0s. No, they don't. They write in simplified languages, but the computer translates that information to binary. Here's my username in binary. All of the information, all of it, on the vast internet is reduced to 1s and 0s. What is extremely fascinating to me is across the spectrum of spirituality, they talk about duality. What's fascinating to me is when you look at the duality of like reproductive organs, it's a 1 and a 0. This is why it's often referred to as binary versus like non-binary. What's fascinating is all of these 1s and 0s, they make everything, pictures, sounds. This is the very famous physicist John Wheeler. He constructed a theory that he calls it from bit, where everything in the visible universe contains this information of 1s and 0s, the on-off switch, and from that reality is constructed. When I say everything, I mean everything, from the smallest little particle to entire galaxies in their construction. Wheeler proposed that physical reality is not fundamental, but rather that we create everything we observe. This means that information that exists all around us is more fundamental than physical matter. Essentially meaning a coder created The Sims. That language, that code was translated into 0s and 1s, and it created the reality that The Sims exist in. They became conscious and started looking around using science, mathematics, spirituality, all these different vehicles to learn and explain the reality. You would see the evidence of the 0s and the 1s in the coding because that is the true existence. What they perceive is just a manifestation of that coding. If you're not new to my channel, you know that I love spirituality, shamanism, esoteric knowledge. What's wild to me is when you look at the world's religions, belief systems, it's crazy because a lot of the thought leaders in all these different sectors, their messaging could be translated as evidence that we live in a simulation. Simulation that is a projection from a super consciousness. That super consciousness is both what gives us life, makes us the conscious observer of creation. But it's insane to me. It literally breaks my brain that all of the information in the world can be distilled down to this. I promise you, when you start looking for it, you will see it everywhere. It is fascinating to look at the concept of duality from the perspective of binary code. It kind of breaks your brain.